What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and the hype is real. Yesterday it was announced that Kay and Kula were going to get their SS versions. That's going to be coming up, which my face is actually right in front of right now. But they will be showing up in about 3 days, which is pretty awesome. But before we dive into any more about Kay and Kula, I want to talk a little bit about the tier list that I recently put up, because a lot of you put in some legit criticisms in that last video. I read all those comments. I always read all the comments. And there were a lot of legitimate reasons why I should change my tier list. So a lot of you were mentioning that, Honoka, and I do apologize for mispronouncing her name. I kept saying Honaka, but Honoka here actually deserves to be triple S. And why does she deserve to be triple S? Well, I mean, I had Merlin at triple S. And, Merlin is a terrific character, and she does belong in Triple S, in my opinion. But if I'm going by the standard that Merlin belongs in Triple S, then really Honoka belongs there too, because they actually have pretty close to the same amount of survivability. Both of their 3PGs can get interrupted in Guild Raid. But I would argue that Honoka actually has a little bit better survivability, because Merlin, I mean, she does have the decreased damage received by 70% for 4 seconds. But Honoka actually has immunity for 4 seconds on top of her hyper armor, which makes her quite insane as far as her survivability. Plus, she has the 30% decreased damage received from the DOA 6 passive, right? She just has a lot of insane survivability, even for an attack type fighter. And I would argue that her damage is actually better than Merlin. Merlin's advantage is that her 3PG and her default are both long finishers. I think maybe I undervalued Honoka a little bit here, so I went ahead and I put her at triple S, because I do feel like those were legitimate criticisms, especially when I was comparing them. And I really wasn't even sure in that tier list whether or not I should put her in triple S, but after listening to all of you, yeah, I agree that that's the right decision. Another criticism of the tier list was the fact that I had Kazumi below Rugal, and many of you disagreed with that. Now, keep in mind that all I had to go by was a level 10 Kazumi on my free-to-play account. I got a level 50 Rugal on my main account. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be some massive differences as far as survivability because of HP, and definitely, of course, because of damage, because I got one character leveled up, maxed out, and the other I didn't get leveled up. And I never really seen anything out there that was letting me know that she was actually, better than him or stronger than him. But shout out to Woody Woodpecker. He actually put a link in the description. Well, not in the description, but in the comments. And I saw Ignis, Kazumi, and Kyo hit over 3 billion in Lunatic Guild Raid against Nightmare Geese. 3 billion. And when I saw that, I thought, oh my God. And some other criticism that were brought to my attention that are very true, is that Kazumi here has a lot better survivability, and she does. She's got the decreased damage received by 30% and her core passive, like all the other DOA 6 characters. She does have the immune to darkness, which is actually extremely beneficial. She's got the shock damage, which again is great for Lunatic against Nightmare Geese. And in PvP, now see, I don't put a lot of stock in PvP, because PvP in this game is pretty much a lag fest. I don't really put, and the rewards just aren't that good. That's really why I don't put a lot of stock in PvP. So when I saw the PvP exclusive decreased damage received by 100% when attacked by a target that has 90% HP, I mean, that's good, don't get me wrong, in PvP. And I mean, whenever you're playing in like Absolute War and you're playing in League Match, that is definitely going to come in handy, and she's definitely going to be a lot tankier, along with the 30% decreased damage received that she gets from her core passive. And those two things do give her more survivability than Rugal. I mean, absolutely. And really, after seeing that 3 billion run in Lunatic with Kazumi on the team along with Ignis and Kyo, yeah, man, I actually had to change up shop. I had to put Kazumi above Rugal, and I agree with all of you. It's funny, because in the last video, I actually said that I think a lot of people are undervaluing her, and lo and behold, I was undervaluing her. I was undervaluing her big time. So I ended up putting her above Rugal. Another little criticism that people had was that they felt like Merlin should be above Rugal. Well, I don't think so. I don't think so. One, Rugal's 3PG doesn't get interrupted. Rugal's damage is beyond Merlin. I mean, you're not going to be able to compare the damage between these two characters. Rugal's damage is absolutely insane. I mean, this guy, gets an increase their damage received by 25% for 7 seconds. He has 2 attack buffs on his skills. he is going to murder Merlin as far as damage. Now, as far as survivability, Merlin's got his butt whooped. She's got the decreased damage received. I mean, she can reset hyper armor just like he can, so they're the same in that respect. And both of her defaults do have nice long animations, which does help her survivability. Survivability-wise and utility-wise, Merlin is much better than Rugal because she actually has multiple dot effects. And again, her survivability is just better. But as far as just raw power and damage, Rugal's numero uno compared to her, and his 3PG cannot be interrupted. So he's actually a little bit more useful in guild raid, although maybe you could argue that. I mean, she's really good for guild raid against Rugal himself, which is funny enough. So what I've decided to do is, I'll go ahead and pull it up right now, is, like I said, guys, I went ahead and I put Honoka, almost said her name wrong, in triple S tier. She absolutely belongs in triple S tier. Is she better than Mai? I don't know. Maybe it's a toss-up between them. Maybe this is a tie right here. And as far as the blue characters, you can see that I have Kazumi right below Ignis, and I do think Ignis belongs on top. And yeah, she is better than Rugal, definitely, for sure. So I put her above Rugal, and I do think Rugal and Merlin, really it's just a toss-up. I mean, it really is going to depend on your perspective. I think they're pretty much a tie. So I think these two characters are pretty much tied. And you could argue that these two characters are tied as well. So I just wanted to give you guys that little bit of an update and make things right. And I didn't do it because, you know, I saw people complaining about it. It's just I agreed with what they said. I agree. And I didn't have Rugal above Kazumi before. I didn't have him above her because he's my favorite character. I don't make tier lists on my favorite characters. I don't have any bias towards them. It's just that from everything that I've seen before, which wasn't a whole lot, I thought that he might have been better, but I was definitely wrong about that. And I'm happy I was wrong about that because Kazumi is waifu, big time waifu for me. She was my favorite character from the DOA 6 collaboration. So I'm happy with putting her in second place against the top dog in blue, which is Ignis. Now, let's jump on to the hype train, my friends. So they put out yesterday that we were going to be getting SSK and SS Kula in the forums, which is amazing. We already knew this was coming. We pretty much knew this was going to be the next banner that we were going to be getting. And then a little something popped up here recently. And if I can pull it up here real quick for you guys. And that is this right here. And I got to tell you guys, K looks sick. This looks sick. I mean, I know he's in a shadow and you see the cross on him, but he looks pretty damn sick. This looks dope. And then you see his skills and his ultimates here in the picture, which is pretty nice. It's not a lot to go by, but I think this artwork is absolutely amazing. And I really want to see Netmarble do more of this for these upcoming characters. I think they need to do more of this. These are the kinds of things that hype us all up and get us ready for these next banners. And it looks dope, man. I freaking love it. I think this looks amazing. And, you know, what could they do for these characters? I mean, there's a lot they could do, right? There's a lot. The funny thing about K and Kula is both of them have 3PGs in the game, but they're short animations. So really what I'm hoping is, and really just to make these two characters even better, I mean, K here is actually extremely good. And so is Kula. I mean, I would argue K is a little better because he's got great leadership for red fighters with the 20% PG rate and the 40% attack to reds. But, I mean, he's actually really good. And if you know how to play him, he's got the longest 5PG in the game. And you can use that 5PG in the Immortal Dungeon, especially if you build him correctly. But, I mean, he's a solid character. This is a great character. He's got a super armor core passive. I mean, he doesn't have immunity, but he's just so tanky that he can just take a lot of damage before he dies, as long as you have him built up. And, you know, obviously, you know, being SS versions, they're going to give him hyper armor. They're probably going to give him a reset skills. I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll bring out the shields. I mean, I want to see more of those shields because we see how amazing those things are on Zero and Neo Tengu. And yes, I know I was mispronouncing her name too. I was saying Neo Tengu in the last video. So a lot of people getting on my case for mispronouncing names. So I will try to make sure that I do say their names correctly because at the end of the day, I want to say their names correctly. So my apologies for that in the previous videos. But in the forums, you know, they were talking about K's going to still be fire, of course, and Kula's still going to have ice. So we can just expect to see a lot of dot damage from both these characters. I don't know if they're going to keep K a red and if they're going to keep Kula a purple. Maybe they'll change their colors. I kind of hope they do, to be perfectly honest. I really don't want 2 red Ks on one team. I really don't want 2 purple Kulas on another team. But The thing is, you know, purple had the advantage against Immortal Typhon, which Kula is, and you know, you do need chill damage for that guy to do extra damage to him. So maybe they will, but I don't know. SS characters are so powerful. Honestly, having a type advantage is nice and it's definitely a benefit, but you don't really need it. Even characters that have the disadvantage, even SS and BS characters that have the disadvantage against these Immortal Dungeons can still do insane damage to them, right? But I'm really curious to see what these models are going to look like. You know, Kay and Kula especially, I'm really curious to see if they're going to go with some old school looks as far as these characters are concerned. But the thing for me is I already know they're going to make both these characters godly. In fact, we're probably going to end up having new metas. More than likely, Kay is going to be the new burn meta for guild raid on hard mode. We'll see about Kula. You know, she's going to have chill and freeze more than likely. And that's really only applicable in the Immortal Dungeons. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what kind of leaderships they give these characters. I mean, I have the utmost faith that both these characters are going to be absolutely insane. And who knows, maybe they'll shake up the meta again, and maybe we'll have some different metas on the tier list. But I'm super excited for them. I'm really stoked about both of these characters. So let me know how y'all feeling about the confirmation of Kay and Kula and the changes I made on the tier list. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.